So what does that mean, right? So, and really in the context of life, it's about, and I'll use it in the simplest kind of form imaginable. It's how do I teach my children, how do we teach our children to dream big, to dream bigger, to shoot higher, to aim better at some of the things that will motivate them to kind of deliver great value. And it's a question I've been kind of puzzling over, and I wanted to share at least some of the thoughts that I had about some of my experiences on those experiences that actually opened the aperture, opened the lens of what was possible in life, and how I leveraged that perspective to kind of transform my trajectory, right? So the first thing, and I'll share this one, and it's a learning that I got from a guy by the name of Ibrahim Shariff. So I'm going to call him out, and I'm going to shout him out as he was a mentor of mine, and but I'll share with you kind of Ibrahim's background. So Ibrahim was a union employee at Merck, and he really cared about kids of disadvantaged backgrounds, and he was in the chauffeur services. So he was one of the folks that actually drove the senior leadership of Merck around in the vehicles that they had, right? So he was a chauffeur. So the learning from Ibrahim was this. So I too had a passion for wanting to help kids that had backgrounds like mine, right? I'm an African-American person. I had, we had for a short time lived in the projects of New Jersey, in Jersey City, New Jersey. Interestingly, I believe that everybody, because of that, everyone has the capacity to do what they want to do, but not everyone has the guidance. Right? Not everyone has the guidance, and maybe they don't have the opportunity. So let me get to the story. I was at Merck, and I was, by the way, I'm one of the first people in my family to work in corporate life. So I didn't have anyone really sharing with me how do you survive and thrive in corporate America. There was no rule book for it, right? And I didn't really have any mentors at this time. But I really cared about helping kids that look like me from disadvantaged areas, believe that they too could be engineers working at a Fortune company. And STEM, science and math, was a path that they should be thinking about. And I wanted to share my story in the context of maybe inspiring some of those STEM students to kind of get after it. And I remember talking going to Rahway, New Jersey, to the Rahway High School. And the Rahway High School was, the predominantly African-American high school in the area. And I remember kind of sharing a little bit of my story with some kids that were thinking about STEM, thinking about engineering, thinking about doing some stuff that was different than what they were hearing from other stuff. So, and interestingly, for this lunch break, Ibrahim Shariff shows up at my talk to the kids. And then after I finish my speech, I'm walking out to the parking lot, and I'm about to drive the 2 miles or 3 miles back to Merck's Rahway location. And Ibrahim, catches me in the parking lot and says, "Hey, Walt, hey, I really liked what you were saying. I think, some kids can benefit from it. What are you doing to grow you?" Right? And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" Right? Look, I've got a bachelor's in engineering, and I'm working on a master's right now in environmental engineering. And he said, "Yeah, but what's after that? How are you thinking about your career?" And then he says something that was really curious. He says, "Walt, I'd like to mentor you." Right? And I remember thinking to myself in the couple of minutes while I was processing what he was saying, I said, "Look, I'm an engineer. I've got a master's degree. You know that." I remember he must have looked at the puzzled look on my face about, okay, help me to understand exactly how you think you can mentor me, right? That was he goes, "Oh, Walt, so let me share with you what I might be able to do to help you." He goes, "So first, the great news is, because of where I sit, I know the backgrounds of every single senior leader in the Merck ecosystem." Wow, right? So that's the first shot across the bow, saying, "Well, you don't underestimate who you're talking to, because they might have a perspective that's A, different from yours in a materially advantageous way. And then the second shot over the bow, and he says, well, Walt, I think you've got something special, and I'd like to help you. And I think you need basis, if you ever want to be one of those people in the top of the business, you're going to have to get an MBA from a top tier company, and he started listing the names of people that were in the senior leadership staff at Merck, and basically said, and they're there because that was an enabler for them. That training was an enabler for them to get to a point where they can differentiate their skill set from others vying for those very lofty roles in the business. And then he went one thing further. He said, look, I'm friends, so he had created personal friendships with many of the senior leaders as a function of servicing them over the years. And one of those senior leaders was a guy by the name of Dave Conklin. And he said, Walt, and Dave Conklin, by the way, I knew only from the organizational folklore, because Merck was an extraordinarily hierarchical framework. You couldn't jump over your boss to talk to anybody, much less 10 rungs over your boss to talk to someone at Merck. At least that was the messaging. But he goes, Walt, I bet I can get Dave to have a conversation with you about kind of your future, and he would do it as a courtesy to me. And I remember getting in my car and saying, wow, that was meaningfully unexpected, because I got a perspective from someone I didn't think would have a perspective that would be meaningfully value add initially. And in the span of, like I said, 5 minutes, he totally dispelled that, and then went another rung higher and said, and I'm going to proactively help you make the connections to get it done. And what did going to Columbia do for me? And I'll give you my perspective, right? So by the way, I did go to meet with Dave Conklin. I did specifically ask to be supported to go to an Ivy League B school and be supported by the company to do so. By the way, at the time I had several children, and I knew I had to work in order to keep the lights on at the house in addition to going to school. And so they have something called an executive MBA program where you work full time and you get throttled in the B school curriculum, and you don't sleep for, I think, 2 years. But it's one of the most eye-opening, kind of life-shaping, perspective-gaining things that I've ever done in my life. But for me, it was absolutely allowing me to connect the dots about the art of the possible. So I go to Columbia, and it fundamentally reshapes what I think is possible, just because of the people that I then got a chance to interact with, to learn from, and to partner with. The takeaway for me is two things. One, almost anyone can help you. Dispel any predisposition of who can help you, basis titles or any other crazy stuff, and really be looking for people that have different perspectives and potentially different access points than you. And you should be purposeful in that. I kind of fell into a relationship because we had a common interest of wanting to help people of disadvantaged backgrounds get better and make better decisions and get after it. Through that passion and that shared vision, that shared hope, I was able to connect with people to create friendships that have been from very diverse populations of people that have been meaningfully instructive in my life. And so I would encourage everyone to be looking for different perspectives and different access points in the people that they associate with and hang around, because you never know. That's first. And then the second thing is, and then you should be looking for differing perspectives, right? Differing perspectives. And so I'll always thank Ibrahim Sharif for sharing with me that learning as, a young kid at Merck, because it was meaningfully, it was life altering, but it was meaningfully instructive for how I leveraged those learnings throughout my career. And so I get mentored by people with different titles, different perspectives, some more junior than I in the business, because quite frankly, just because they're more junior than you doesn't mean they can't drive significant value in shaping the perspective you're going to glean. So mentors come in all shapes, sizes, varieties, and levels. Was the learning. Their perspectives can be meaningfully value add to what you have to accomplish in life.